Okay, I guess we will call the June 4th Marquette Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. Why don't we start with roll call? And just because we're kind of in a Zoom form here, I guess maybe it's best if I just say your names and you say here. So as I state your name, just let me know you're here by saying here. Jeremy Ottaway, here. Jill Mallon.
Here.
Barbara Wright.
Here.
Justin Vassow.
Here.
Heather Dombrowski.
Here.
Michael Dunn.
Here.
Christina Perhatch.
Here.
And Andrea, we don't have any absences that I'm aware of, do we?
Correct.
Okay.
And I just noticed an error in the agenda. I didn't delete the election of officers, sorry.
I was wondering about that.
I noticed that as well. We were going to give it back to Heather.
Yeah.
So when we get to additions, deletions, we'll just make note of that, I guess. So we'll skip forward to the minutes for the previous meeting of May 7th. Everyone have a chance to take a look at those. Anyone have a motion?
I move
Motion
to accept. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
I'll second.
We have a motion from Ms. Mallon and a second from Ms. Dombrowski. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, so we will move on to our additions, subtractions from the agenda. Obviously, we had the election of officers is on there. So if we can get a motion to maybe just get rid of that and move forward.
And then I got two pieces of correspondence to add to item 2A.
Why don't we hear those first?
Well, we're saying we're going to add them to the agenda, and we'll hear them after I do my spiel for the case.
Okay, so we should get a motion probably to get rid of the election of officers.
And then add the two pieces of correspondence.
And to add the two pieces of correspondence. So if we can get a motion for all three of those items, that would be a great idea.
I'll make a motion to delete the election of officers off the agenda and to add the two additional pieces of correspondence to 2A.
Support.
We have a motion for the items as stated from Mr. Dombrowski and support from Mr. Vassow. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say nay. Thank you. Okay, so Andrew, are you going to just read those once we get to the public hearing?
Yeah.
Okay, so at this point, Sean, do we have any citizens wishing to address the board?
I think it's just the applicant in the waiting room, right, Andrea?
Yeah.
Yeah, so no.
Okay, so no citizens wishing to address the board. We should bring the applicant in though, because if they want to speak on this, before we could give them the opportunity to do that also. They want
Okay.
Not that I think they're going to want that, but.
They're up next anyways, right?
Yeah. Kevin, are you there?
I am.
Okay, great. We can hear you. We can't see you. So we're just going to ask. Basically, we're at the point of our agenda where it's citizens wishing to address the board. This is for everything that's related to all we do with the Marquette Board of Zoning Appeals, everything that's an agenda item. Has nothing to do with your hearing in particular, but I still figured I'd ask you if you wanted to speak in addition to what you're about to speak to in 5 seconds.
No, other than,
Well, good. I figured I'd ask since you were out there. So
yeah,
we'll move to your hearing, which is the only one of the night. So we're at public hearing 05-VAR-06-20, which is for 503 East Hewitt Avenue. Andrea, if you could give us the background and the additions to that.
The Board of Zoning Appeals is being asked to review an application for a 5.5% rear yard occupation variance and a 0.5-foot eve encroachment variance from the City of Marquette Land Development Code to allow for a 28-foot by 24-foot detached garage with 1-foot eaves. A 9.9-foot front yard variance from the City of Marquette Land Development Code to allow for a 16-foot by 18.5-foot addition to the home. A 1.3-foot side yard variance from the City of Marquette Land Development Code to allow for a 15.5-foot by 15-foot addition to the home. A 0.5-foot height variance and 50% closed construction variance from the City of Marquette Land Development Code to allow for a 4.5-foot high board-on-board fence located at 503 East Hewitt Avenue. Attached to the agenda was the staff file review analysis, and I highlighted those areas where variances were being requested. And then the variance application submitted by the applicant with their support material. The area, the area map, the parcel is outlined in blue. The block map, the parcel is outlined in blue. Photos of the site. And the location sketch. And then prior to the agenda being posted, we received one piece of correspondence. And then since the agenda was posted, received 2 pieces of correspondence. And then I will read them into the record right now. Received on June 3rd. To whom it may concern, my name is Ryan Koski, and I live 2 houses down to Mr. Kukla on Cedar Street. I am writing in regards to his request of variances, for his construction at 503 Hewitt. I don't agree with his request and hope you don't grant his request for a few different reasons. From what I have seen, living so close to him, it seems that he is running Kukla Electric out of his house, and this extra garage is probably for his company supplies. When I leave for work every weekday morning, I see 3 or 4 Kukla Electric vans parked outside his house, and that doesn't include the 2 or 3 he has there overnight. I'm guessing those are his employees waiting for instructions for the day. I personally know 11 school-age kids that live on the 500 block of Hewitt or the 600 block of Cedar that walk to Graveret Elementary School for their education. If I had kids, I wouldn't want them walking to school with those business vehicles coming in and out of the neighborhood and around the same time they are walking to school. Isn't the neighborhood zone single-family residence, not commercial? Secondly, I have been told that the city has an ordinance that requires a certain percentage of residential properties to be considered green space for rainwater snowmelt. If this is the case, will he meet the proper percentage of so-called green space? Thank you for your time and consideration on the matter. Once again, I hope you don't grant him his variance. Sincerely, Ryan Koski. Received June 3rd. Hello, Andrea. I'm writing in response to the notice of public hearing for the zoning appeal regarding 05 VAR 06 2503 East Hewitt Avenue, PIN 0370680. My family resides on Hewitt Avenue. We believe the variance for the fence and garage would impede our current architectural window to the lake that is currently enjoyed. We believe part of the value of our home and property is in the current views we enjoy. Kind regards, Leslie Hartman. And that's it with the correspondence. Did you guys have any questions for me?
Mr. Vasso is speaking right now, and it doesn't look like anything's coming out from what I see. No. Okay. No questions?
Andrea, I did have a question. You said Ryan Koski wrote in and Leslie Hartman. Who was the third?
That was in the agenda packet.
Okay, that one's still, all right. It's in my, on my minutes. Okay, got it.
That one is
I can find
Penny
that.
Pedersen at 525 East Hewitt Avenue.
Thank you.
Andrea, what was the address of the person that wrote the second letter? Do you have that? Koski, I think.
Nope, they did not give me their addresses. So our computers have been down. So when I got these letters, I didn't have a chance to like double check and look for that. And I forgot to do that today, so I apologize.
Okay, why don't we bring the applicant up? Why don't you please state your name and address for the record, and just give us a rundown of your application here.
You ready?
Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm Kevin Kukla. My house is at 503 East Hewitt Street. And so what I want to do is build a porch across the front. I have a small porch that I can't sit on. And nearly every other house on the street has that opportunity to sit on the front porch. So what I'm asking for is not any different than what any other house has, really, on Hewitt Street or Hewitt Avenue. Then as far as the side addition, there's a structure there that doesn't, it's on slab, so there's no frost footings. The floors are getting torn up. The walls aren't even fastened to the floor, actually. So what I want to do is tear that down, put frost footings in, make that a real entryway. That is my entryway into the house. So make that an entryway and a laundry room. And then the back half, the back addition on the north side of the house, that's going to be my master bedroom. I have a kid on the way, and inherited 2 other ones, so I need the room anyway. So that also is going to be a first floor bathroom that I don't have. So and as far as the garage goes, the garage is actually about a half a foot off the lot line. I'm proposing to go off that lot line 3 feet. It's an alleyway. It's never going to be a street. There's actually a garage that's farther down the line that actually has 7 feet of that garage is into the alleyway. So, and that's surveyed. You can look that up. I can give you the address. I don't have the address right now, but the reason for the garage to be moved and set back is so that I can actually park a vehicle into the driveway. There is no driveway. So I have to park my vehicles in the yard and plow my yard every year and destroy my grass and fix it every year. So right now there's about 5 feet in front of the garage door before you get to the sidewalk. I parked on the sidewalk one day, and one of the neighbors kind of got upset at me for parking in my driveway, which covers the sidewalk. So that's the purpose of the garage being moved back and rebuilt. As far as me running a business out of here, I have one employee that works here. She's my secretary. I have the license for it. I run an electrical company, and they come here, they grab their worksheets, and they leave. That's what happens. Their vehicles don't stay here. And that's what happens. It doesn't happen every day, but as far as me running a business out of here, it's an office. It's not a business. So I do have plans, and I have bought property in Market Township off of Wright Street that I do plan on building a shop. But first things first, I got to get this done. This has been sitting like this for 4 years. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised that anybody has any issues with it.
Anyone have any questions for Mr. Kukla?
I guess I do. Is there any way that he can just move that garage forward a little bit so he doesn't have to ask for variance?
Forward in which way?
What are you asking for? 1 foot, aren't you, or something?
No, the
I'm-
variance is for the eave on the garage.
Okay, could they just move the garage so that he doesn't have to ask for a variance for the eve?
The variance
That's
is,
on that back side, right?
the
We also
variance,
have a variance for the side, for just the size of the garage itself,
Right,
as
for
opposed
the-
to the yard space.
The yard.
Oh, okay.
Does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Kukla? Yeah, Mr. Dunn.
So, yeah, I had kind of the same question. It looks like if that garage was built a half a foot further to the west, that eave encroachment wouldn't be a variance and wouldn't need it. Also, I'm kind of wondering the same thing on the addition on the east side of the house, that I guess there's a structure already there. I'm wondering if it couldn't be built to the same size as the existing one, and that would take care of the 1.3 foot side yard setback on that. You know, I know you'd be giving up 1.3 foot of space there, but you know, that's the existing structure. If you're going to rebuild it to the same dimensions, then we wouldn't need the variance. So just wondering what the reasons are for those two.
I can start with the garage, I guess. To the west would be closer to the sidewalk, and the eaves are actually going towards the alleyway, which is the north.
So you'd have to move it to the south.
So that the setback for the eaves is not on the eastern lot line. That's actually on the north, on the alley.
On the north and south, that's right.
Okay. Well, how about moving it half a foot to the south then?
If a half a foot really is gonna matter, it's that's not gonna meet the setback. The setback off the alleyway is 15 feet. Actually, 20 feet, I believe. Is that right, Andrea?
Yeah, it's 20 feet, but
For the
I'm
rear
kinda-
yard, you're allowed to build in the rear yard. The setback for you, the required setback when you're building a rear yard for an accessory structure is 3 feet. So the variance there is because your eave is the 1 foot. So your eave has to be 2.5 feet from that northern lot line. So you have a 0.5 foot variance. So they're asking you, why can't you move the garage 0.5 feet to the south?
We can do that. That's not a problem. I have no issues with that.
Anyone else have any questions for the applicant?
Oh, what about that fence? You're asking for a half a foot for the fence. Is there a reason why you needed 4.5 instead of the 4 feet?
No, not at all.
Any other questions for the applicant?
And I would like to clarify, also asking for a 50% closed construction in the portion that's above, that's not in the rear yard. That's in the side yard for the fence. So it's not just the 0.5 foot.
Could you repeat that, Andrea? What are you saying there?
For the fence, there's 2 variances there.
Yeah.
0.5 foot height variance and a 50% closed construction variance. For the portion of the fence that is from the proposed addition, that would be the new rear line of the home, going south towards Hewitt Avenue, would have to be, to meet the ordinance, 4 foot high and 50% open construction. And he's requesting a 4.5 high fence that's board on board. 100%.
Okay.
So I guess I have a question for the applicant. Why do you want a board on board fence versus the regular fencing?
That's just what Pictured. It's doesn't matter too much to me. I have a dog. There's a neighbor dog. They're friends. I don't really care. But that is what I pictured when I planned it. So why not ask for it?
Any other questions for the applicant here?
I guess I have one question. I didn't see it on the application. I was curious about the height of the proposed garage, because I know there's some limitations on heights of accessory structures. And with the pitch of the roof, not going the peak's not at the short side of the building, it's at the long side. Are you above I think it's 16.5 feet is the maximum height?
On page 2, and he's going to be 16.5 feet.
It's
Okay.
right at it.
Question for the
Yeah, Miss
applicant.
Mallon.
You will not be going in to the garage through the alleyway, correct? Or are there cutouts on this other street?
There won't be any access to the garage from the alleyway. It'll be
Okay.
Peter Street.
And is there room enough to park your car outside the garage without encroaching on the sidewalk then?
With the variance, yes.
Well, wait.
Actually, it's not even a variance on the eastern half of it. In order to not get my garage in the middle of my yard, I'm asking for the variance of the setback on the alleyway.
And there are curb cutouts to
There's
get to
already
the
a driveway there. Yeah,
garage? Mhm.
it's a 5 or 6 foot driveway, but
And the driveway comes in from the west, right?
that's
From Cedar?
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions for the applicant?
Just one more question. I'm sorry. I'm trying to look at the drawing here of where the fencing that you're talking about putting in. Where is that going?
Along the east side of the backyard.
The backyard. Okay. Is there I don't remember seeing it. Is there anything back there right now, or is it?
There's a chain link fence.
Okay, so that.
I can share my screen to show it. Give me 1 second here. Okay.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
And
There's
then
an old rock wall that chain link fence is on. That's part of it. The rock wall is deteriorating. It's falling apart and weeds grow up there. I can't stop them. They just keep coming. So I want to tear it apart and put a fence in. So
oh, it's not letting me do that. All right.
Okay, does anybody else have any more questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead, Mr. Dunn.
So, sorry to keep nitpicking at your design here, but did you take a look at the proposed addition on the north of the house? Did you look at it all to see if you could fit it in the setback? Because again, I'm not sure exactly where the doors are, but it seems like you could have almost the same exact space and still kind of a cool design if that whole addition was moved to the east to get within the setback along Cedar.
I have a kitchen window. Andrea, I don't know if you have pictures of the north side of the house. Well, I guess you can kind of see it there, but if you were to look kind of behind the pine tree, you'll see a window there that is my kitchen sink window. If I block that off, I have pretty much no natural light going into the kitchen. So that's,
Oh, got it. And that's where the deck is right now, or the proposed deck would be right by that window. Am I
yes,
getting that right?
yes, yeah.
Okay.
The porch.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions for our applicant? Okay, I don't see any hands. I hope I'm not missing anyone. With that, I guess we can open up our public hearing for 05-VAR-06-20. Sean, do we have anyone in the waiting room to speak on this?
Nope.
Okay, great. So I will close the public hearing since no one is here. Staff, I guess it's time for us to talk about this a little bit more with you, because I have some questions. I guess I just want to clarify. We have, is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different variances we need to go through here?
Yep. So it all depends on how you guys want to do it. If you guys are looking to approve everything, then you would state the motion just as you normally would. But if you're wanting to not approve one, you would then do the second one on the memo of why one variance you feel like wouldn't be appropriate, and you would deny that one, or however you guys want to do it per the discussion that you had with the applicant and yourselves.
Okay, so in this case, I think what we're going to need to do is probably go through these individually, since we are dealing with so many moving pieces. And I think we're all going to have probably different opinions that need to be heard, especially when it comes to, I think we're dealing with just a couple of different animals here. When we're talking about the fence, I don't think, in my opinion, looking at any of the requirements necessary for a variance, I don't think the fence request is going to meet any of those variants, any of the variance necessities. So I guess that's one thing, is my opinion. But I think that the garage and the addition are definitely up for more discussion, and I think the fence is too, if you want to talk about it. So what do we have to say about that? Anyone have any comments?
I'd just like to start with the fact that I think gentleman's in a kind of a tough spot here. A lot of people coming towards ZBA are in tough spots. The thing that struck me when I visited a lot and everything else is he's a 3-corner lot, which I think gets into the fence issue. He's going to want some privacy. He's trying to do some additions. He wants to increase the size of his house, obviously. I think his garage, is fine as far as dimensions go. Yeah, with everything put together, I think this kind of makes sense. If I look at the whole thing as in a nutshell, I mean, I'm looking at where his house already sits. If you're looking at kitchen windows, putting stuff in, letting light in, he's already down in the south. He's in the southwest corner of the lot. The house sits crooked. Again, you got variable right of way, which is going to impede in and out of yards as you go down the street. So when this is all put together, I'm just looking at it from a wise design use, and relaxing some of this stuff, I think, would allow him to enjoy his property. It's going to encourage long-term home ownership. Listening to the statement about the addition not being attached to the footings and everything else, I'm in support of this request.
Thank you, Mr. Vassa.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have any comments? Mr.
I
Dunn.
would like to say, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jill.
Okay. I was thinking that the fence, there was no need to give a variance, but in light of it is a 3-corner lot, and there isn't going to be much privacy. I'm on the fence about that. I hate to say that, but I would love for this gentleman to have everything he wants. One of the sticking points for me is when I walk by, a porch that close to the sidewalk. I don't know how comfortable that would be for sitting there when you don't have privacy. It would. I don't know that. but then it is it's an odd little sliver of a lot. And so I want to delve into these a little bit more and see what we can do for him.
You mind if I kind of hash in on that?
I'm fine with that, sure.
The front of the porch will be no farther, if you were to look down the line at the front of the rest of the front of the porches that are down the street. It's not going to be any farther than what those porches are to the sidewalk. It's in a straight line down the line. So every other house is that close. Just so we're all.
Yeah, Mr. Basso, go ahead.
I'd just like to say, I'm looking at the dimensions on that front porch and I'd say I don't know if this is the right way to put it, but I'd say they're kind of average. They allow for a functional use to put a chair out there, enjoy your lemonade and kick back and just enjoy it. I don't think it's nothing excessive. And I also think it would maybe increase some accessibility into that part of the house at the same time.
Andrea, go ahead, please.
Yeah, the porch is not being requested for a variance. It meets the allowed encroachments. So that's not a part of what we're reviewing tonight.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
It's just the 2 additions and the garage and the fence.
And the 1 addition is just a tear down of an existing, looks like a very, not a very 4-season on the east side.
Mhm.
That wasn't built as 4 seasons in mind, I don't think, when I looked at it today. So I could see how, now there's no variances on that, correct? It's
Nope,
just
that
a-
is, so the existing one is 5.1 feet away, but the proposed is 3.7 feet from the side lot line. That has a variance to the side lot line.
So make it a little larger.
So I just want to make a comment. I drove by and took a good look at Mr. Kukla's lot the last couple days as well. When it comes to the side yard stuff, I mean, I think he's only making a big time improvement there. If his neighbors have any type of problem with that, I'd be kind of shocked if, and frankly, from the standpoint of the building, just from a safety standpoint and the current condition of that addition that's there, I think he's making a gigantic improvement, and I think it's one that's a necessity at this point to maintain the value of his home. Second, right next to his property is a garage that is of large size, which is going to be right next to this garage if I'm looking at the plans correctly. And I think that we already have a garage that is in the neighborhood that is clearly probably outside the limitations of what our zoning is asking. So we do have standard being set there for an allowance of things of that size. So I think that that's something we all need to consider as well. Yeah, Mr. Dunn.
So I've got a couple of comments. I'm in agreement on the fence, as much as having streets on 3 sides probably incurs a need and a special challenge for this property. I still think that you could do a pretty cool fence and not have to have a variance there. So I feel like that one, do a good one with 4 feet instead of 4.5 feet. The garage, and I'm just going through my list here. The garage, I don't see any problem with a little bit of a additional occupation of the backyard, so that 5.5% rear yard occupation. I'm okay with that because it's not like he's asking for a ridiculously large garage. It's a an average 2-car garage. I am hesitant to grant the eave, even though it's only a 1/2 foot on the eave. It seems like it'd be pretty easy, since nothing's been built yet, to just build it a half a foot and then we don't have to worry about the variance there. It's that one I have a hard time justifying any kind of hardship. It just seems like that would be easy to solve. I guess this is the rear addition, the 16 by 18.5. I think that's the rear addition, or north, on the north side. I don't have any problem with that. You know, if he wants to improve the house and put an addition there, he's already a little bit further away than the house already is. So he's getting a little bit closer to that front setback. And again, because there's streets on three sides, he's got setbacks all over the place. So I can see that being a particular hardship for this property and kind of a unique hardship for this property. So I'm good on that one. The existing structure, so this one's the 15.5 by 15 foot addition. You know, if the applicant could see a way to do what he needs to do within the existing footprint, I think that would be better. You know, I don't want to prevent him from rebuilding it, because obviously it needs to be rebuilt. I drove by there as well too, but if we could stick to the same dimensions that already exist, then that variance goes away too, and that seems like a pretty reasonable solution as well. So that's all I had.
Okay. Yeah, Heather, go ahead, please.
Andrea, with the way the streets lay, where is his backyard? Does he have a backyard?
The alley.
It's the alley is the backyard?
The alley's his rear yard.
Okay, so that's the only backyard he has. Okay. Okay.
So he has a front on Cedar, a front on Hewitt, then the side opposite Cedar, and then the alley is his rear yard.
Okay. So where would he be able to build, like would he be able to build like a 4.5 foot fence anywhere else on the property line, or is it all, would that all be?
So the 4.5 foot fence, if the proposed addition here, let me pull up the. All right, can you guys see the hand?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it showing up? Okay, so say if this was approved, the 4.5 foot, 100% closed construction fence could go from here
Okay.
to there. So the variance is for here
To there.
to there.
Gotcha.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, so from here to there.
Okay. I think I kind of echo what Mr. Dunn said for the better part of it. But the side addition, the way this house is situated, again, it's a long rectangle and it's kind of already, I know, I feel like the 1 foot on the side isn't a deal breaker for me, seeing where the other property sits on that lot 282. And it's just the closed construction of the fence that I'm not a huge fan of. But you know, it is a backyard and he doesn't really have a backyard. So yeah, I guess that's not really concrete things. I feel like the additional using green space is a very reasonable small ask, and making a functional garage is something that I think is necessary too. So that's all I have.
Any other comments before we try to push this along a little bit? Yeah, Mr. Vasso.
Thank you. As far as the eaves go, I was looking at the eaves too, but I always look at the purpose of an eave. And if you have a nice eave on your house, it actually protects the house a little bit from the elements. And that's one of the goals of the land development code, is to have some sustainability with construction. And as far as the rear addition, I was looking at that too. And I noticed that if he keeps it where it is, he frees up his backyard and he has more of a backyard to use than moving it around, trying to stay within the buildable area. So this is just one of the things I think that happens with buildable areas and setbacks that apply to certain properties, such as a 3-side lot. Things get really crammed and you got to get kind of creative with stuff, or you're coming to us asking for variances. So again, I can support the requests that have been, that are outlined here. Thank you.
Thank you again, Mr. Vasa.
You're welcome.
I
Yeah,
have
Mr. Rich. Yep.
one comment. I am not opposed to the garage, even where it's located, even with the half foot, considering the eave is on an alleyway and not next to someone's property line. And as far as this fence, I could support it only because when I think about like the sight lines, especially from Cedar Street, you're barely going to see the proposed fence that will be complete opaque, the board on board, that small section that Andrea pointed out. The only person that's really going to see it is their next door neighbor. So I don't have an issue with that. And as for the proposed addition that he's replacing, I can't see justification for extending it past the setback line. So that would be the only variance that I don't agree with.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions or just points of discussion before I try to move this a touch? Okay, so the way I see this, I think we may want to talk about the garage and the fence at the same time, and kind of start here with the side yard variance for the side addition, because I think that we may be talking about the garage and the fence kind of together, or the way our discussion is going. Sounds like it's very similar thought. Is for the side, Andrea, for that side addition, the existing addition, the only variance that's there, right, is the 1.3 foot side yard variance?
Yep, for that proposed, yep. 1.3 foot side yard. So it's 3.7 feet away from the east side yard, and the setback there is 5 feet.
So in hopes of moving this along for ourselves in that, oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Brasky, go ahead.
So if he were to tear down and recreate what was there, he wouldn't have to apply for anything, but he would still not be within the setbacks. Is that correct?
Yeah, the existing, and just I can actually, we have the visual for it. Give me 1 second, please. So, and the existing meets the 5 foot because it's at 5.1 foot. So the existing, that 13.6 is going from west to east, and the north, the 16.1 goes from north to south.
Okay.
And then
So the addition is 2 feet bigger than what it is now? Is that what you're saying?
So the addition now, yep, is going like 1.4 foot bigger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Once again, with hopes of kind of pushing this along a little bit, I would like to focus our talk on that side yard variance, the 1.3 feet. And I think what our best bet here is to kind of to tackle this one individually, then move on from there. So I would like to hear if there's any sort of discussion, possible motions on that side yard variance at this point.
So I'd make a motion to, well, I should probably get this right if I'm gonna make a motion, but yeah, I'm gonna make a motion to deny the 1.3 foot side yard variance. Based on, sorry, I'm not very organized tonight.
You're okay, take your time.
based on B5A, that I don't see that there's a unique hardship or special conditions here that would require the variance.
So you're saying section 54.1404B5A?
Yes, thank you.
So Mr. Dunn has made a motion at this point, correct? Just making
Yes,
sure. We have
Yeah.
a motion. We have a motion for denial of the 1.3 foot side yard variance. Anyone else have any discussion on that or a second?
Before you go forward, so normally we always say after conducting the public hearing and review of the staff file review analysis, which includes everything, then with that, are you okay? Maybe now stating that you're gonna add that to the top of the motion?
yeah. Do you want me to reread it, or?
Yeah, if you could just reread it with that
Okay.
1.3 foot side yard variance in particular
Do you
included.
want me to put the memo on the screen?
No, I got it. No, took me a second, but I got there. So after conducting a public hearing and review of the staff file analysis for 05 VAR 0620, the Zoning Board of Appeals finds that the request does not demonstrate the standards found in 54.1404B. That was 5A, right?
Yeah,
And this is for just the side yard variance.
Yep.
for the 1.3 side yard variance for the proposed 15.5 foot by 15 foot addition.
Exactly.
I'm okay with that.
And thank you for the help.
Yes. So we have a motion for the side yard variance for not approving. Anyone else? Okay. So we have a motion. We do not have a second that I see at this point. Would anyone else like to make a motion?
I have a question. Are we going to do each variance then?
I think we're going to have to, because we have just
Okay,
varying discussion going on here at this point. I don't know that we're going to come to a full consensus on the entire bit.
okay. I'll second the motion then.
You'll second the motion. So we have a motion to not approve the variance for the side yard, and we have a second from Ms. Wright. So at this point, we are going to need to vote on this. And all in favor will say aye, and that will be signifying, I'm sorry.
I thought we'd have discussion. Is there any room for discussion or no?
Well, we can discuss this. Yes. So Mr. Dunn, do you have any further comment on this?
Yeah, the reason I made it is simply to make it a little bit more organized going through the rest, because most of the rest I'm okay with. I still don't like the fence, but the rest of it I'm okay with. So I thought I would pick this one out. It seems to me that reconstructing on the same footprint that's already there is totally feasible and would still accomplish the applicant's goals and avoid having to grant a variance that, you know, in my opinion, isn't necessary.
And I just wanted to ask, if I could at this point in time, Mr. Kukla, if there was a specific reason why you asked for that large variance on the east side there of the rebuild.
Yeah, there's ultimately, I just need more room. Is 1.4 feet gonna do it? No, but I really can't go 2 stories with it, and I can't go any wider with it due to the windows. The only way I can go is towards that lot line, with that addition in itself. And honestly, I just didn't think that 1 foot was really gonna do it. But there's really not much. There's really no place for me to build on this without getting a variance. So I'm limited in pretty much all facets of doing anything on this without getting an approval from you guys. So the reason why I'm going for all of them is not even that I can do it this year. It's just that I know what I want. I've designed it over the last 5 years, and this is what I've come up with. So I realize I brought you, a whole bunch to go over and chew on here, but in the end, in my personal opinion, I didn't think that it was too much to ask for, I guess, and that's what I think. So
Thank you. Thank you.
Any further discussion before we vote on this?
I also just like to bring up a couple of things, like with the social justice, the relaxation of the rules, I think are applicable here. If we look at his minimum request and we put everything together, I think he has an understandable situation. And it's a case-by-case basis, and it's a peculiars of the property. I kind of understand the gentleman's situation, so I think, I think he's fine myself, and I just think he meets the administrative standards of A through J. Thank you.
I'm not a builder, but I was wondering how I thought there was a fence near that on the east side of the neighbor, probably owned that, a chain link, is that it? And I was wondering how that was dealt with, if the builders, how they could build that close to the fence without removing it or doing something.
there's no fence that goes all the way up to that addition right now. The fence stops short to the rear yard line where
Okay.
Andrea had showed earlier.
Okay. Any more questions before we vote on this motion that's on the floor? Thank you. So let me remind you, an aye vote on this motion would be to deny the side yard variance, where a nay vote would be to not approve to not push forward with the denial, I should say. So all those in favor of denying the side yard variance, please state aye.
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 You counting those, Andrea?
Could we do a roll call, because it's hard this way? I'm sorry.
We will do roll call. So who stated aye? I'm sorry.
I did.
Raise your hand.
Michael Dunn.
Just raise your hand so Andrea can get it.
Okay.
Okay. All those opposed, nay, please. Nay.
Nay.
Just hold your hand for roll call. Make this easier.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, so we got through that with the motion not being approved. At this point, do we want to make a new motion, or do we want to talk about something else at this point? Because this is getting a little bit tricky. Mr. Vasso, would you like to make a motion?
I would love to make one, but I don't have the agenda packet before me. I'm just on my Zoom and that's it.
I'm going to throw the memo up on the screen. Would that work?
Yes, it will. I'll make the motion to approve, or you just have to bear with me here.
You were fine.
Okay, just a sec here. Okay, here we go. After conducting a public hearing and review of staff file review analysis for 05-VAR-06-20, the Board of Zoning Appeals finds that the request demonstrates the standards found in section 54.1404B 5A through J of the Land Development Code, and hereby approves 05-VAR-06-20 as presented. Thank you.
So Mr. Vasso, it looks like you've made a motion for the entire variance. Is that what you are wanting to make a motion on? Just
You know,
want to
I'll
make sure.
say yes.
You're going to say yes. Okay.
Yes, I was up on the screen. I'm in favor of everything that he has.
Okay. So we have a motion for the entire variance to be approved from Mr. Vasso. Do we have a second?
Construction.
Last call for a second on that motion.
Oh boy.
That didn't include the half-foot garage? he
That
was willing to
includes the
move?
entire variance request.
As
So the
written.
entire thing.
No moving the garage a half foot or anything?
Nope. So Mr. Vasso's motion, just to remind you, is as stated to approve. We have that motion on the floor, and this is the last call to have a
I'll
second.
second it.
Miss Wright
I'll
has
second
seconded.
it. Let's vote.
Miss Wright has seconded that motion. So at this point, I would like to have further discussion before we move on, because maybe we can just resolve this now, which would be a great idea. So Mr. Vasso, why don't we start with you? I'd like to hear from you again.
Yes. As stated earlier, I looked at his application. I concur with it. I added some additional stuff, such as a 3-cornered lot. He's tearing down an old dilapidated building. He's putting something new up. He's trying to make it more functional. I'm looking at, I looked at C. In addition to that, I just put 3-sided lot. Coming down, I think the social justice would allow him to enjoy his property even more, which is what everybody else is doing in the district. It is a standalone decision. I'm looking at just the whole thing here, just going through my notes, and medium density residential, I think he's still consistent with that. So when it's all put together, I just think it's a guy just trying to use his lot as he sees fit. That keeps the open backspace. He's dancing in and out of some stuff here and there. He's got a lot of issues to deal with. So when it's all said and done, I can support his request.
Excellent. Okay, Ms. Wright, why don't you comment also, since you were the support for this?
My only concern is what the, I guess the half a foot of the fence, kind of like, why would you need the extra half a foot? You know, that part of the variance. The other part is my concern with, one of my concerns is that he's using it as a business, and the neighbor was really kind of upset about that, and that is something I guess another part of the city has to deal with, though. But in all the rest of the ways, I had a 13-foot living room at one time, and it was really hard to put stuff in, and an extra 1.5 feet would have really made it a lot better to put furniture in. So I can see his point in there. And I don't see anything wrong with the backyard, you know, the back addition at all. I mean, all the houses around there are about the same, and the porch also, everybody has that same kind of a porch, and I guess I don't see any problem with that. I just don't understand why he needed the extra half a foot for that fence.
I'd like to make a comment at this time, I guess, if I can. And basically, I can tell you, I was looking at this from the beginning. My first concern was the fence, and Mr. Vasso especially has kind of made me think about it a little bit differently, because this property is so unique that there is absolutely no privacy on it. I mean, I drove by it a couple times just like everyone else did. And I mean, it's a very unique property. And there's a part of me that actually believes that him having a closed construction fence, even at 4.5 feet high in that one spot, actually may be a benefit to his neighbors. So they're not seeing everything that's going on in the man's life. I'm not going to sit here and comment on whether or not he's doing business. I don't think that that's necessarily any concern to ours at this point. That's something that can be handled by a different manner if that's the case. Obviously, our applicant knows that he can't be doing that. Regardless of that, that really has no bearer on what's going on here. But I think at this point, in reviewing all of this and seeing where I am, I think I'm in support of moving the motion forward as well, and approving everything as stated. So I'd like to hear from anyone else that would like to speak on it. No other comments?
I'll just say going through
Oh.
A, B, C. I agree with that he meets D, E, and F, and G. Even I can go with I. Impact, I'm not sure that the person who is gonna be denied the right to see the lake, is that accurate? I can't imagine anybody. I don't know about that one. The impact doesn't seem like a large impairment on anybody, so I can
And
be
there's
in
also a
agreement with
big,
this.
there's also a big tree in the back, so I don't think they can see the lake anyways right now.
Exactly. Mr. Dunn, go ahead, please.
You guys are convincing me on the fence. So I can let that one go. I'm still stuck on this 1.3 yard or 1.3 foot side yard, and Mr. Vassau got me in a corner because I certainly don't want to deny the whole thing because of 1.3 feet. So I'm in a quandary because I don't agree with that one little portion of it. You know, I just feel like that was kind of, I don't know, you know, I may be reading into it, but it just seems like the whole design was done without even looking at trying to fit into the setbacks, and it seems like that was sort of an afterthought. But whatever, like I said, I'm not sure which way I'm going to vote on this, but I would certainly hate to deny the whole thing just because of one little issue.
I do think we have to, sorry, Ms. Wright, I was gonna say, I do think we have to consider though that 1.3 feet on the side, especially with the applicant stating that there's no frost footings there currently. So when he goes to excavate, which he's most likely gonna have to, that concrete, to actually put proper footings down, I don't know that we're saying that he's gonna be able to build it in the same footprint that's there anyway, because that footprint's no longer gonna be there. So when we're talking about 1.3 feet, especially considering if we're okay with the other setback for the garage, which is going to be on the exact same line, I think that this one makes a lot of sense if it's on the same line. Ms. Wright.
I just have one question. I'm looking at a picture of the neighbor's house. It's a blue house and it's the back of the addition that's there now. There's a little swimming pool, pink swimming pool back there.
Oh, that's actually my yard.
Yeah, I know, but the house next door. How close is that house next door if you add the extra 1.5 feet? It looks real close from here, that's all.
It's probably off the lot line. It's I would say 14 feet. That's what I would guess.
So you mean there's 14 feet from your addition now to the other house?
Off the lot line.
So I have the survey and you can see the location of the house on that.
And Mr. Kukla, since we have you and we're kind of doing this in a different fashion than we typically do, and we're still asking you questions because we're trying to push through this very unique variance request.
I appreciate it too. Yeah.
I will ask that if Andrea, if you could go back to that photo of just the side, so I can see that addition again, because something I know that is always a point of contention to this group, and especially Mr. Vassa, and one of his questions is for snow removal. And I have concerns about the structure that's there currently, because it's not a very steep roof. It doesn't look like there's any overhang there at all. So I want everyone to keep that in mind. We're giving a 1.3 foot side yard. It doesn't look like there's any overhang at all on the roof right now. It's not a steep pitched roof. So I'm sure the applicant's going to have a better chance to actually build a structure that is going to be a long-term, success there. It's not going to look the way it does now. It's going to actually have to be a living space. So my question to the applicant, since you're here, what are you planning to do for a roof on that thing? Is it going to be is there going to be no overhang? Is it going to be a low pitch roof? What's your plan?
No, there'll be a 1 foot overhang. And actually that depiction isn't right. We're gonna, it's because of the main house hip roof, it's a hip roof on the main house. We'll be having a hip roof on even the front of the house for the porch. Everything's gonna have a hip roof coming off the ends of the additions to match the main house roof. So.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Andrea. Did anyone have any further discussion on this before we put our motion to a vote? Okay, with that, we have a motion to approve the variance request as written, and a second from Ms. Wright. All those in favor of approving the motion request as written, signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
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 Hands up for aye so we can keep that up.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. So that motion passes 100% 7-0. So your variance request is granted as written.
Hey.
And I definitely appreciate the board taking the time to go through that very extensive request, tooth and nail, and I think we did a good job with it. Mr. Kukla, you are free to go unless you plan on speaking and in the comments at the end, but you certainly don't have to sit here and listen to the rest of our 2 minutes that we're going to have if you don't want to, but you're more than welcome to if you'd like to.
No, I just want to say I appreciate you guys, every one of you, your time, and I know it was a lot, so just thanks for bearing with it and understanding. So have a great night, and thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. So we will move to item 3, which is unfinished business. I don't think we have any, right, Andrea?
Nope.
Okay. Item 4, new business. There's nothing listed on the agenda, so I'm assuming we have none.
Right.
Item 5, citizens wishing to address the board. Sean, I'm assuming
No
there's no
one's
one.
in the waiting room.
Nope.
Okay. Item 6, board member comments. Anyone want to say anything tonight?
I have one question. How long is this variance? Is that forever? Or he said something about not building everything right away.
They have a year basically to start working on the variances. And then if they need to ask for extensions, they can come to the board.
Okay, all right. Is he aware of that in case he just didn't want to?
I'll
Okay,
talk to him about it.
all right. Because I thought there was a certain length of time.
Okay, any board members want to make a comment? Hand up if you do, otherwise, oh, Mr. Dunn, go ahead.
I've always got something to say. I just finished the citizen planner course with the MSU extension that Brad Newman was organizing, and I thought it was great. Learned a lot. Highly recommend it.
Awesome. And I think that's something we may want to comment. It looks like Christina and Brad have switched spots. Is that what's going on, Andrea?
Yes, Brad is now an alternate and Christina is now full-time.
Awesome.
Yay.
That'll be more fun anyway. We'll enjoy it. So hopefully, maybe at the next meeting, we'll be able to possibly get together. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to count on it for sure, but at this point, I guess if I can get a move to adjourn, we will do that.
Well,
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Oh,
I
Mr.
did want to
Borowski wants
ask.
to.
Okay,
Yeah, go ahead.
I did want to ask Andrea, is it going to be status quo? The meetings are happening? Because that's the understanding I got from talking maybe to you or somebody else, that the meetings would be in person in July.
We don't, I was asking Sean about that. Right now, we think probably through June, definitely Zoom, because the planning
Yeah.
commission is gonna have another one. But if Sean, if you wanted to answer more on that, or I can state what you said.
Yeah, at the moment, it's up to the city manager's discretion. So we just moved to tier 2 last week. We have a tiered plan within the city. And we're just gonna see how things progress before we downgrade further. And so tier 1 would be boards and committees meeting in person again. So it's kind of up in the air at the moment. As soon as something changes, I'll let Andrea know and she can act appropriately. But that's the best I can tell you.
Great. That hopefully answers your question, Heather.
Little, yeah.
As much as you could before he broke up, unless it was just on my end.
Yeah,
All
it
right.
is unfortunate. This is a very fluid situation that we've kind of been dealing with, because it's, for me, every month and every time I'm putting notices out, I didn't know, are we going to have the stay at order extended? What's going on? Well, we just still don't know until probably close to the time.
I have a question. When we do go back and meet in person, are we going to be meeting in the same place, or are we switching locations like we previously discussed in one of the meetings?
Oh, at the chambers for now instead of over at the service center. The way everything's going, maybe not until next year, if we want to look then at having meetings over at the service center.
Okay.
Right now, I don't trust the wireless and the technology over there because we've been having issues. So I just rather know that in the chambers, everything's working.
Okay.
Okay. Can we get a move to adjourn now?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second.
Good. Have a good night, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Take care,
Bye-bye.
guys.